Welcome to Joy Unfiltered. I'm Rachel, and this is a podcast about joy. Not the shiny, performative kind. Not the everything happens for a reason kind. This is joy as a strategy. A way to stay steady when life feels loud. A way to stay human when things are hard. A way to lead, love, and live without burning out or checking out. Some episodes will be just me. Some will be honest conversations with people who have lived their way into a deeper, truer joy. No fixing, no bypassing, just real stories, real tools, and room to breathe. Let's get into it. Hey friends, welcome back to Joy Unfiltered. I am Rachel Bentz, and I am really glad that you pressed play today because this episode is for anyone who has ever thought, I love the idea of joy, but it feels unrealistic right now. Or joy sounds nice, but life is so heavy. Or even, isn't joy just a personality thing? Some people have it and some people don't. If any of that sounds familiar, you are in the right place. Because today we are talking about why joy actually works. Not as a vibe, not as a mood, certainly not as forced positivity, but as a real, practical, evidence-based strategy for living, leading, and staying human when life is a lot. And I want to start by saying this clearly. Joy is not the absence of hardship. Really, joy is not the absence of hardship. I'm actually creating this today from Minnesota. Those of you who have been following along in the news, this is January. Actually, this is February 1st. You know, joy is not the absence of hardship. Joy is what helps us move through hardship without losing ourselves. And that distinction matters. Because when people hear me talk about joy, I sometimes see the hesitation, the subtle eye roll, the internal pushback. Like, okay, but what about stress? What about grief? What about what is actually happening right outside my window right now? And I get it. This is not about pretending things are fine when they're not. This is about understanding how the human nervous system actually works. Because here's the truth. Most of us were never taught. Your body doesn't change through pressure. It changes through safety. Let me say that again. Your body doesn't change through pressure. It changes through safety. And joy is one of the fastest ways the body registers safety. And let's talk about that. When we are under constant stress, whether it's emotional stress, mental stress, physical stress, decision fatigue, our nervous system shifts into protection mode. This is where that whole fight, flight, or freeze, or shut down, where all of that lives. In that state, your body is not interested in long-term goals. It's not thinking about health, growth, creativity, or connection. It's thinking about survival. And although survival is sometimes necessary, do not let me tell you differently. Sometimes we do need that. Living in survival mode is not necessary. And living in survival mode is exhausting. It narrows your focus. It limits your capacity. It makes everything feel harder than it actually needs to be. Does that sound familiar? If it does, here is where joy comes in. Joy sends a different signal to the nervous system. Joy says, you're okay right now. You are safe enough to exhale. You can soften just a little. And when that happens, something important shifts. Your brain becomes more flexible. Think about that. Your brain becomes more flexible. Your nervous system becomes more regulated. Your ability to adapt increases. And this is why joy isn't just fluff. It's functional. It literally changes how your body and brain respond to life. And this is backed up by decades of research in neuroscience and psychology. Positive emotional states like joy, curiosity, and gratitude broaden our attention. They help us to see more options. They improve problem solving. They increase resilience. In contrast, chronic stress narrows our world. It makes us rigid, reactive, stuck. So when I say joy works, what I really mean is joy gives you access to more of yourself. Joy gives you access to more clarity, more creativity. Joy gives us access to more capacity. And here's the part that people don't expect. Joy doesn't make you complacent. It doesn't make you just follow the rainbows and butterflies. It makes you consistent. Think about that. Joy makes you consistent. What are the things that actually you stick with over and over and over again? Not the things you force yourself to do for a few weeks. Not the things you force yourself to do for a few weeks out of guilt or fear. The things you return to again and again. Let's think about that. Usually they're things that feel good. That walk you enjoy, the routine that grounds you, the conversation with your best friend that fills you up. Joy is what brings you back to those things. And consistency, I know a lot of my clients hear me talk about this over and over again. Consistency is where real change happens. This is true in health. It's true in leadership. It's true in relationships. People don't burn out because they care too much. They burn out because they are disconnected from joy while caring deeply. And that is a dangerous combination. Now, I want to talk about a misconception that gets in the way for a lot of high-achieving people, especially women. We've been taught that joy is optional, that it's something extra, like dessert. Nice if you have time for it, but not essential, and definitely not productive. But let's reframe that. Joy is not a reward for the productivity. Joy is what sustains productivity. Do I need to say that again for the people in the back? Joy is not a reward for productivity. Joy is what sustains productivity. Without joy, effort becomes draining instead of energizing. And when effort becomes draining, burnout is not far behind. And I see this all the time with smart, capable, driven people. They know how to push. Are you saying, yep, that's me? They know how to perform. Is your hand raised in the back? They know how to deliver. But they've lost the ability to enjoy the process. So everything feels hard. Everything feels heavy. Even things that they once loved feel hard and heavy. That is not a discipline problem. That is a nervous system problem. And joy is part of the solution. Let me say this gently. If your life requires you to override your body all of the time, something is out of alignment. Joy helps you notice that. Joy can bring you back into relationship with yourself. And that's why sometimes joy can feel uncomfortable. Because when you slow down enough to notice what feels good, you also notice what doesn't. Joy isn't avoidance. It's awareness. And awareness is the first step to change. This is also why joy can coexist with grief. You don't have to choose one or the other. You can hold both. You can feel sadness and still notice beauty. You can be angry and still laugh. You can be in a really hard season and still experience moments of light. Those moments don't minimize the pain. They make them bearable. They give you strength. That's not weakness. That's resilience. And resilience isn't built by avoiding difficulty. It's built by having enough internal resources to face it. Joy is just one of those resources. So let's switch a little bit and talk about leadership for a moment, because this matters deeply, especially if you're someone who leads others. Joy is often misunderstood as soft or unprofessional. Believe me, I have heard it. But the most effective leaders I know don't lead from fear. They lead from presence. They create environments where people feel safe enough to think, speak, and contribute. And joy plays a role in that. Teams with higher levels of positive emotional connection perform better. They collaborate more effectively. They adapt faster. They recover from setbacks more quickly. Joy isn't about being bubbly or being a Pollyanna at work. It's about being human. It's about allowing space for energy, connection, and meaning. And that starts with how you relate to yourself. If you are constantly driving yourself through pressure, criticism, or quote unquote not enoughness, that tone spills over. Joy can change the tone. Joy can change that tone. It softens the edges. It creates room. And room is where growth happens. This is why joy is not a luxury. It's a leadership skill, a life skill, a survival skill. And I want to pause here and speak directly to the person who is thinking, but my life doesn't feel joyful right now. My life does not feel joyful right now. Or maybe I don't know the last time when I felt joy. And I want to say, I hear you. I hear you. Joy doesn't always show up as big, obvious happiness. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's subtle. Sometimes it's just a small moment of relief. Maybe it's a deep breath, a really good cup of coffee, a song that hits just right, a moment of connection. These small, tiny moments, maybe they're just tiny moments of delight. Those small moments matter more than we realize. They are not insignificant. They might be tiny, but they are mighty. They are regulating. They're restoring. Those small moments, are building capacity one moment at a time. And here's the beautiful thing. The beautiful thing is joy compounds. The more moments of joy you allow into your life, the more your nervous system learns that it's okay to relax. And the more relaxed you are, the better decisions you make. The better decisions you make, the more aligned your life becomes. This isn't about chasing joy. It's about noticing joy. It's about noticing those small moments. It's about allowing it, letting it be part of the process, letting it be part of the process rather than something you postpone or something that sits kind of beside your life. Let joy be part of the process of your life. So let me ask you a question. What if joy wasn't something you waited for, but something you practiced? Not perfectly, not all the time, but intentionally. What if joy was something you practiced intentionally? What if joy wasn't the finish line? What if joy wasn't the finish line, but the fuel to get you there? This is the shift I've seen change lives. Not overnight, not dramatically, but sustainably. And don't you want that? A sustainable life? Joy keeps people engaged. Joy keeps people connected. Joy keeps people moving forward when motivation fades. And as you know, motivation always fades. Joy lasts longer. So, as I wrap up today, I want to leave you with one simple reflection. No homework today, no checklist, just a question. Where in your life could joy make things easier, not harder? And what would it look like to let joy lead there just a little? You don't have to overhaul your life. You don't have to force anything. You just have to notice. Because awareness is powerful. And joy has a way of showing up when it knows it's welcome. So, thank you for being here today. Thank you for listening. And next time, we're going to keep building on this conversation slowly and intentionally. But until then, have fun, live well, enjoy.